So what is the Youth Discussion Meet? It is a contest sponsored by Virginia Farm Bureau Young Farmers. This contest is to prepare students to serve on committees or boards. The fundamental basics of general discussion are cooperation, constructive criticism, problem solving, and communication. This is not a debate. Participants will be scored on how they facilitate the discussion and how they contribute to it. The participant's responsibility is to exchange ideas and information to solve a problem. The discussion should not be a conversation or aimless talk, nor should the participant take the role of a persuasive speaker. The participant should attempt to cooperatively shed further light on the problem and tentatively retain a flexible position. A successful participant is a productive thinker rather than an emotional persuader, who is free to state beliefs and change positions whenever new information and ideas make that a reasonable thing to do. So who is involved? There is a moderator, and they will not attempt to control or direct the discussion. They will introduce the topic, announce when to start opening statements, begin time for discussion, call time, and announce when closing statements can be made. They will not step in unless one or more contestants make disparaging or inappropriate comments. There is a timekeeper, and they will keep the official time for the contest. There will be 4 to 6 contestants per round, depending on the number of contestants registered for the contest. So what are the topics? Topics will be sent to the contestants ahead of time so they can research and prepare for the discussion. Each round will have a new topic. A sample topic for the Youth Discussion Meet would be 60% of American farmers are 55 years old or older. Discuss contributing factors to the gradual aging of farming population and ways the greater agricultural community can attract more young farmers. What educational, economic, and social incentives, resources, and promotions, existing or new, can entice more young people into production agriculture. The contest starts out with opening statements. Each contestant will have 30 seconds for an opening statement. The statement should be broad in scope, show relevancy and importance of the topic. You can prepare your opening statement beforehand. You cannot bring written material to the stage, but can take notes and write reminders after the moderator has given permission. We will be watching the final round of the National 2016 Young Farmers and Ranchers Discussion Meet held at the American Farm Bureau Federation Convention. Remember, these are the best in the country for discussion meet. Their topic is American agriculture depends on a foreign-born labor force. How would you draft a national immigration policy?
We will begin this discussion with 30-second opening statements from each competitor. Following the opening statements will be 30 minutes of open discussion, followed by 1 minute of quiet time for the competitors to prepare their 1-minute closing statements. Official time is kept by the timekeeper. Competitors, in voluntary order, make your 30-second opening statements. Please stand and direct your opening statements to the audience. The timer will indicate when your 30 seconds have elapsed by holding up a red time card. You may begin.
$200,000. That's how much Washington asparagus growers estimate they lost per day during the 2012 harvest due to labor shortages. Yes, we need to protect our borders, but we must also protect ag's contribution to our economy. And that means discussing how we can evolve policy for a more flexible, reliable guest worker program. Thank you.
According to the National Agriculture Workers Survey, 78% of all agriculture workers are undocumented illegal immigrants. Not only do these immigrants possess a willingness to work, not common in the United States, they also help to support a strong American economy. Obviously, immigration reform is needed. but it should be based on the views of economists, nonpartisan researchers, and most of all, the needs of all agriculture producers.
Emma Lazarus, author of The New Colossus, and E.M. Tiffany, author of the FFA Creed, found liberty in common. Lazarus pointed out she lifts her lamp beside the golden door open to opportunity, while Tiffany exerted he believes in our own ability to serve our own and the public interest. And in today's marketplace, economic mobility is vital to growing stronger communities. I am positive, as the unified voice of agriculture, we will craft policy that shapes and lights the path to agricultural stable workforce.
As our American Farm Bureau president said, our crops can't wait on paperwork. For over a decade, our nation has failed to create a comprehensive immigration plan that works. A new immigration policy needs to address three key things. One, creating a flexible visa program to account for both year-round and seasonal workers. Two, adjusting the status of undocumented workers to maintain our trained workforce. And three, securing our borders.
Next is the body of the discussion. The length of the discussion can last between 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the number of contestants and which round of the contest you're in. Participants will first background the topic, then discuss why is it an issue, next come up with solutions to the issue, and remember, it is not important how much you talk, but how you contribute to the discussion and how you help facilitate the conversation that is important.
You have heard the opening statements. The competitors may now proceed with the discussion. Competitors, please direct your discussion to your fellow panel members.
Ladies, I think a good place to start with this immigration policy is our number one priority, and I think everybody will agree with me, national security. That should be our number one priority here. Ultimately, despite whatever policy or legislation we pass,
Making sure that our agencies who are administering the laws, they understand the laws that are in place and that there's some clear guidelines. Back home, we have a local farmer who employs a lot of people under the H-2A program. And he had a situation where a worker received
Really
a
is
minor...
to come up with solutions. There's no question that E-Verify is a possible solution. But I think we've seen in the states that have enacted E-Verify
Getting our workers on time. And one is a colleague of mine where she had requested to get 50 and she only got 2. And she's standing there with, you know, all of her crops basically rotting in the field, and now what does she have left to show for that? So yesterday...
back to the topic here, and the first part of this topic is a statement. American agriculture depends on a foreign-born labor force, and I think we can agree with that. Like statistics that have been mentioned, 78% of all our agriculture workers are undocumented immigrants. That's very important to remember that.
Laborers out, and understanding that they are here because they see that this is the opportunity to continue to make sure that agriculture is the number one industry in our nation as well as across the globe. And that's what we're looked at as global leaders. So if we're going to have a policy
who wants to do $1 million expansion of his operation and is afraid to do it because he doesn't think he will have the labor to support that production. So that's production we could do here in this country, and we possibly will be importing it because of the uncertainty around labor needs. So
how does that look when they're on the farm? Are we going to give them allowances so they can have their homes and their transportation at their leisure versus our farmers having to manage that on their own? And that goes back to the point of our farmers and ranchers need to be farming and ranching. They do not need to be legislators, or they don't need to be babysitters chasing people around. And it's quite ridiculous when you have to figure out the number of...
We can't leave out a segment of our industry. We have to be able to do that. So I think if we create a good program that works, that is better than what we have now, that's going to help secure our borders. If we adjust the status of those who are currently undocumented, who are unauthorized.
Time has been called.
Last is closing statements. Each contestant will have 1 minute for a closing statement. Contestants will be given 1 minute to prepare their closing statement at the end of discussion. Statements should summarize the discussion that took place during the body. The closing statement should not be canned or prepare beforehand.
Please prepare your closing statements. I ask that the audience remain silent for 1 minute to aid the competitors in their preparation. Please put down your pencils and in voluntary order, please stand and give your 1 minute closing statement.
3 words should sum up our conversation: reliable, feasible, flexible. We need to have a process in place that is reliable so agricultural workers can continue to be the leaders in our nation as well as the leaders of the globe. In addition to that, it needs to be feasible. It needs to be reasonably in place so that we not only are able to have workers, but we can afford to have workers and continue to afford to have our own jobs. In addition to that, flexible. We need to have the flexibility to be able to go out, pick who we need, but also our laborers can pick who they want to be. Do they want to be citizens? Do they want to be seasonal? Do they want to be guests? And who's at the table? Farm Bureau. We're the ones leading the conversation, leading us from the Department of Labor to the Department of USDA, leading us from the selfishness of darkness into the glorious sunlight of good, stable agricultural workforce.
American agriculture depends on a foreign-born labor force. Today, we have developed a policy on immigration that will make American agriculture strong with these 3 points. First, national security is our #1 priority. We must secure the borders and enforce current immigration laws. 2, we need a year-round visa program that is seasonal and non-seasonal and continually renewable. And the third and final point is a simple, streamlined immigration policy driven by the USDA. Together with Farm Bureau and the USDA, who understands agricultural needs, I believe we can form an immigration policy that will keep American agriculture strong.
We've had excellent discussion here on an admittedly hot button topic. And as I look at the solutions we discussed today, kind of 3 rise to the surface for me. The first 2 are related to advocacy. We do need to advocate for a more flexible program. Sky mentioned both year-round commuter visas, transferable visas from farm to farm are another option. And we also need to advocate for protecting our borders through national security, Matt, like you mentioned. And the third is we have an opportunity through our state farm bureaus to do real boots on the ground support for our members through programs like our Great Lakes Ag Labor Service. I really hope that the solutions we talked about here today will pave the way for a more functional, flexible guest worker program, because at the end of the day, the success of our farms and our economy depends on it. Thank you.
It's clear that we need reform on immigration. The current H-2A program doesn't work and has problems. It's difficult for farmers to understand. It should be simple. It should be so simple, a first grader should be able to understand it. We need a flexible visa program to account for all aspects of our industry, whether it's seasonal workers or year-round workers. That is key to a new immigration policy. We need to be able to adjust the status of currently undocumented workers to make sure our trained workforce stays here with us, because it's so hard for farmers to get reliable and helpful work. And we need to secure our borders. National security is of utmost importance to us, and we need to be able to protect our food source that we supply across this country. We have a choice to make. We're either going to have to import our labor or import our food. Thank you.
Let's show these competitors our appreciation for a job well done.
For more information on the Youth Discussion Meet, talk to your local 4-H Extension agent or agriculture teacher, or contact your local Farm Bureau office. Remember, follow the Virginia Farm Bureau Young Farmers on Facebook at VAFB Young Farmers, and stay tuned for some hints and tips for contestants.